The story begins in Seoul, South Korea. There, we meet a man named Mr. Jin. Mr. Jin is on the phone talking to someone. He's discussing his plan to escape from Korea. That's because, thanks to Mr. Jin, the corruption of some of the city's most powerful people has been exposed to the media. So he wants to leave Korea as quickly as possible. But just then, 3 men show up. They are all wearing masks. As soon as they arrive, they pin him down, and together they forcibly inject drugs into his body. Eventually, he dies from a drug overdose. After killing the man, the 3 of them put on prison uniforms and leave the scene. The truth is, they really are prisoners. So after committing the murder, they intentionally go back to prison. Then we find out that they are the most notorious inmates in the city. They kill people whenever they want, then willingly return to prison. They don't have the slightest fear or hesitation. They are so dangerous that they can walk out of prison whenever they want. And whenever they feel like it, they can just go right back in. The police arrive at the place where they killed Mr. Jin and begin their investigation. But this isn't their only murder. They've killed many different people over time, and they do it so carefully that they never leave behind any evidence. Everyone believes the victims simply died from drug overdoses. Meanwhile, we see the largest prison in South Korea. Inside a prison transport vehicle, there's an inmate named Song. Song is being taken to the prison along with the other inmates. A short while later, they arrive at the prison. One by one, the inmates begin getting out of the vehicle. In fact, everyone inside the transport is a new inmate. So the moment they step into the prison, the older inmates come over and start harassing them. Even so, all of the new inmates quietly put up with it. But Song was different from everyone else. He refused to put up with their rude behavior. So the moment he stood up to them, Song got into a massive fight with one of the gangs. On his very first day in prison, he ended up fighting the entire gang. Meanwhile, another prison gang had a member named Ni. He was sitting with one of his friends, watching the fight from a distance. In fact, there were several gangs inside this prison. But the gang Song was fighting was the most dangerous one of them all. Eventually, the prison guards somehow managed to break up the fight. But after that incident, everyone in the prison had their eyes on Song, because he had stood up to the most feared gang in the prison. That night, the entire gang captured Song and tied him upside down. This gang was led by Chang. They brutally tortured Song to get their revenge. They all beat him mercilessly. And they kept telling him that if he wanted to survive in this prison, he would have to follow their rules. Their gang leader beat Song so much that he eventually got bored of it. So, just to entertain himself even more, he started urinating on Song. As Chang was about to leave, Song quietly muttered something under his breath. So Chang came back, pulled the cloth away from Song's mouth and said, "Whatever you want to say it clearly." But instead of saying a word, Song suddenly bit Chang's ear and tore it right off. That even scared Chang. So, on his very first day in prison, Song had already started eating non-veg. Because of that, the prison warden called him in. Song said to the warden, "Please move me to another cell as soon as possible. Everyone in that gang is extremely rude, and they're completely out of control. They've been after me since my very first day here. Just look at me. See what they've done to me. So please, move me to another cell." But the warden told him that they had no such rule. Then one of the prison chiefs took Song to the very same cell where Chang and his gang were staying. As soon as Song arrived there, another gang started targeting him. Song found out that this gang was supposedly even more dangerous than Chang's gang. They immediately started chasing Song to beat him up. But the strange thing was, all of this was happening right in front of the prison chief's eyes. But he didn't say a single word to them. Even though Song tried to run away, the entire gang caught him. Then they dragged him away right in front of the chief's eyes. Even though Song begged the chief for help, the chief said nothing. At that moment, Song realized something. He understood that all the officers in this prison had probably been bought with money and power. That's why they never spoke up, even when injustice happened right in front of them. Then the gang took Song to their leader. His name was Echo. Echo was an extremely dangerous gangster. He was so feared that even the prison wardens were afraid of him. In fact, they all followed Echo's orders. In other words, Echo was the king of that prison. Whatever he said became the law there. No one ever dared to interfere with his business. Echo walked up to Song and said, "So, today is your first day in this prison, and the first thing you did was attack a gang? That's fine, no problem. But I brought you here to make one thing clear. "If you want to live peacefully in this prison, you'll have to serve me. You'll do whatever I tell you to do." But Song wasn't like the other inmates, so he told Echo that he would never obey him, even if it meant dying. He also told Echo to go show off his power to someone else. Hearing Song talk back like that made Echo furious. To teach Song a lesson, Echo had his men drag him onto a table. Then Echo was just about to use a machine to cut off both of Song's hands. Song became terrified, so he immediately agreed to do whatever Echo said. Then Echo noticed that Song had gotten so scared that he had wet his pants, so he figured there was no point in frightening him any further. As a result, he had the prison guards take Song back to his cell. Then Echo left the area. Since Song hadn't eaten anything all day, he was starving, so he sat down in his cell and started eating. A prison guard was standing right in front of his cell. Song asked the guard, "Who exactly is Echo? And why is he so aggressive? I barely escaped with my life because of him today." The guard replied, "Be careful. Just do whatever he tells you. He's basically the godfather of this place. Even though this is a prison for everyone else, it's no less than a 5-star hotel for him. That's because he has every possible privilege here. Everything he needs, from food to every other convenience, is provided to him. So stay as far away from him as you can. And one more thing, never go anywhere near cell number 8. That's where Echo's men stay." The next morning, Song stepped out of his cell to enjoy the sunlight. While he was standing there, another inmate spotted him and ran over. His name was Gesick. In fact, Song and Gesick already knew each other. Gesick asked Song, "How did you end up here? Weren't you with the police department?" While the two of them were talking, the gang leader Chang walked over to Song. He was the same man whose ear Song had bitten the night before. Once again, Chang started provoking him. He said to Song, "What, did you think you beat me? I just came to give you a little warning. Take a good look around while you still can, because tonight will be the last night of your life." Hearing that made Song furious. He immediately started beating Chang again. Chang's men rushed in to attack Song, but Song fought them all off by himself. None of them could overpower him. Just then, Echo showed up. The moment Song saw Echo, he stopped fighting. That's when we find out that Echo and Chang were enemies. The two of them never got along. So Echo walked over to Chang and said, "I always thought you were a big-time gangster, but you can't even handle one ordinary inmate. So why do you two keep fighting like little kids every single day? First, the two of you should decide what you really want. If you want to prove you're real men, then fight properly. Let's see who wins." Song accepted Echo's challenge. He wanted to fight Chang. But before the fight, he told Echo, "If I beat Chang, then you have to give me fried chicken and let me stay in cell number 8. That's because Song had heard from the guard that Echo's men stayed in cell number 8. They had access to all kinds of special privileges there. Echo agreed to his condition. Then the inmates gathered around them, forming a circle, and the fight began. At first, Chang acted like he was going to crush Song, but before he could do anything, Song hit him so hard that Chang collapsed to the ground within a minute. According to the rules, Song won the fight. He was thrilled by his victory, so Echo kept his promise. Through the prison chief, he had Song transferred to cell number 8. He also gave Song a whole bunch of fried chicken to eat. Meanwhile, we meet a man named Dr. Kim. He was sitting in a restaurant having a meal with someone. The person dining with him was the prison warden. Dr. Kim had come there to meet with him. In fact, Dr. Kim worked outside the prison, taking contract jobs from clients. Then, through the prison warden, he passed those contracts on to Echo. Whenever Echo accepted a contract, his men outside the prison carried it out. The murder we saw at the beginning of the movie, where the victim was killed with drugs, was actually carried out by Echo's men, because that was one of their contract jobs. Echo and his men completed these contracts under the cover of night. The prison warden arranged for them to leave the prison. After finishing the job, they returned to prison before anyone noticed. That day, the warden received another contract from Dr. Kim. Then he went straight to Echo and handed it over. This time, the contract was for a major drug theft. Echo accepted the contract. Later that night, Echo's men got fully prepared. Then they walked straight out of the prison to carry out their mission. Then, following the contract details, they all headed to the designated location. Once they got there, they stole all the drugs in just 2 minutes. But while they were on their way to deliver the drugs, one of their own men betrayed them. He stole all the drugs in the middle of the trip and ran away. As a result, they failed to complete the contract. The prison warden became furious. He was also extremely worried. But he wasn't worried because one of his men had run off with the drug. He was worried because that man was still outside the prison. If the police somehow found him through a clue, they would catch him, and through him, everyone else would be exposed. The truth about everything that was happening inside the prison would also become public. And since the warden was a government official involved in all these crimes, he would receive the harshest punishment of all. The stress was driving him almost insane. That same day, a high-ranking police officer arrived to inspect the prison. His name was Officer Bay. He had shown up there unexpectedly. So when everyone at the prison saw him, they became nervous. The warden especially was terrified. Officer Bay had visited this prison many times before. Whenever he came, he thoroughly searched the entire facility, because he had known for a long time that all kinds of illegal activities were taking place inside the prison. But even though Officer Bay knew that, he couldn't take any action against them, because he didn't have any evidence. That's why he showed up there without warning every once in a while. And today, he once again searched the entire prison, but once again, he couldn't find any solid evidence. A little while later, he spotted Echo. Officer Bay had suspected Echo for a long time, so he said to him, "I know you're the one behind all of this, but not for much longer. In just a few days, I'll catch every single one of you." Echo simply stared back at him with a smug attitude. Officer Bay told him to stop looking at him like that, but Echo's attitude only became even more arrogant. Officer Bay then picked up a baton and was just about to hit him, but Echo immediately grabbed the baton. Seeing all this only made Echo even angrier. He wanted to kill the officer right then and there. But just then, Song stepped in and changed the direction of the situation. To keep Echo from making things worse, Song shouted at the officer, "What do you think prisoners are? We have the right to live with dignity too. You were about to hit an inmate over something so minor. Even though Echo is a prisoner, you should still treat him with respect, but you've been treating him badly from the very beginning." Hearing that made Officer Bay furious with Song. Trying to win Officer Bay's favor, the warden ordered his men to beat Song right in front of him. He wanted Officer Bay to be pleased with him. A little while later, Officer Bay left the prison. Song had been badly injured from the beating, so one of the prison chiefs helped him up and took him back to his cell. For the first time, seeing someone get beaten because of him made Echo feel guilty. No one had stood up for Echo in front of the officer. Everyone else had simply obeyed Officer Bay. But Song was the only one who had the courage to stand by his side. He had even taken a beating because of it. Because of that, Echo began to care about Song. Later that night, while Song was lying in his cell, Echo came to see him. He said, "Who told you to step in back there? I can take care of myself. Anyway, tell me something. What do you like to eat the most? Tonight you can have anything you want." Song replied, "Oh, so you're treating me because I stood up for you? All right then, I really like fish." But Echo said, "Getting fish in here is a little difficult. Pick something else." Song replied, "If you can't even get me what I actually want, then why did you ask?" After saying that, Song lay back down. But those words hurt Echo's pride, so no matter what, he decided he had to get Song some fish. However, his cell only had fried chicken and other expensive food. There wasn't a single fish anywhere. So he used his influence and took Song out of the prison in a car. Then Echo took Song to a large seafood restaurant. There, he personally prepared several fish dishes and served them to Song. Song was really happy. He happily enjoyed every bite of the fish. After a while, Echo asked Song, "By the way, why did you help me in front of that officer? Don't you remember? I was about to cut off your hands." Song replied, "I know. You were only trying to scare me, but I think you're actually a good person at heart. And since you're asking why I helped you, here's the truth. Honestly, I wanted to impress you, because I've noticed there are a lot of dangerous gangs in this prison, but every single one of them is afraid of you. So if I could impress you, I wouldn't have to live in fear anymore. No one would dare mess with me because of you." Hearing that made Echo admire Song even more, because Song had told him the truth without hiding anything. Then Echo said to Song, "I heard you used to be a police officer. Then you must know how to track down criminals. Will you help me find someone? And if you can find that person, I'll give you $100,000. That's more than 10 million won." The moment Song heard that, he agreed. But he told Echo, "Just show me who the person is. I'll find him and bring him back to you. But that's all I can do." I don't want to get caught up in any more trouble. Later, as they were driving back to the prison, Song suddenly thought about his brother. He remembered something from his past. It was a flashback to when Song worked for the police department. One day, while Song was busy with work, his brother came to see him. His brother asked him for help with something. In fact, Song's brother was a reporter. He had uncovered the illegal activities of some of the city's most powerful people, so he needed Song's help to catch them red-handed with solid evidence. But for some reason, Song wasn't able to help him. As Song thought about all of this, he became emotional. The person Echo wanted Song to find was the same man from their group who had run away with the drugs. His name was Hakyu. After getting all the information about Hakyu from Echo, Song got to work searching for him. Whenever he needed to leave the prison for this job, Echo made all the arrangements. In fact, Echo could have found Hakyu himself if he wanted to, but if he or his men went looking for Hakyu, Hakyu would recognize them from a distance and run away. That's why Echo asked Song for help. So after leaving the prison several times over the next few days, Song finally found Hakyu. Then he brought Hakyu straight to Echo. Echo immediately took him to a special area inside the prison. Song wasn't there. Once they got there, Echo hanged Hakyu and killed him. At that exact moment, Song saw what had happened. It made Song feel terrible, because if he had known Echo was going to kill Hakyu like that, he never would have captured him. After seeing that, Song tried to leave, but just then, Echo stepped in front of him. He said, "Does it bother you that much? You did your job, and I did mine." Then one of Echo's men handed Song his payment. It was the promised $100,000 for the job. Even though Song didn't want to take the money, he also didn't want to make Echo angry, so he quietly accepted it. The next day, Song was cleaning the prison floor, but we later find out that he was actually using that as an excuse to keep an eye on the prison warden. We'll learn later why Song was doing that. The warden also found Song's behavior a little suspicious, but he didn't think too much about it. A few days later, Echo and his men were sitting together eating a meal. They were also drinking. Song was there with them. While everyone was chatting, Song suddenly got into an argument with a man named Lee. Lee was one of Echo's closest men, but Echo had one rule. He hated being disturbed while he was eating, so their argument made him extremely angry. Even then, Lee kept arguing with Song. That pushed Echo over the edge. He immediately started beating Lee. He kept hitting him repeatedly with a plate. But when Song told him to stop from behind, Echo finally stopped. Then he also warned Song, "You should control your mouth too. Otherwise, you'll end up just like him." At that moment, one of Chang's men witnessed everything. He immediately went and told Chang what had happened. Chang was already extremely angry with Echo, so he decided to use this opportunity to take revenge. He went straight to Lee, the man Echo had beaten, and he started provoking him even more against Echo. Chang said to Lee, "Have you noticed something? Ever since Song arrived, Echo has been listening to him more and more. But Song has only been here for a few days, while you've worked with him for many years. Yet today, he beat you like this because of Song. Do you know what I think? I think Song is trying to take your place. And judging by how Echo is supporting Song, it won't be long before that happens. Song will actually take your position. And when that happens, you'll have no power left." Hearing those words made Lee extremely angry. He got up and was about to leave, but Chang stopped him and said, "Echo treated you like this. Don't you want revenge? I'll help you. I want to kill Echo myself anyway. And if you want, we can make it happen. You just have to give me some advice. I'll handle everything else. You won't be taking any risk. You only have to support me." But Lee was one of Echo's most loyal men, so he didn't agree with Chang's plan. He refused and walked away. Meanwhile, we see Song entering the prison office room. When the warden was not there, Song took advantage of the opportunity and went inside. He started searching through the entire office. After looking around for a while, he found a locker. Inside that locker, there were several recordings. Song took one of those recordings. Actually, it was a recording of Song's brother. The warden had kept it hidden there. Then Song sat down in a quiet place and played the recording. In it, Dr. Kim, the same man we saw earlier, was talking with the warden. In other words, Dr. Kim, the person who brought the deals to the warden for Echo, was saying to the warden in the recording, "A reporter has found out everything about us, and very soon he will reveal all of this to the media. But before he gets the chance to do anything, we need to take action. Otherwise, we will all get caught. Can you imagine what will happen to us then? So, get this information to Echo as soon as possible. After hearing this, we understand that Song actually came to this prison because of his brother's work. While Song was listening to the recording, the warden suddenly arrived there. When he saw Song inside the office room, the warden became suspicious. He asked Song why he was there. Song was about to give him an answer, but just then, a police officer arrived and told the warden that he had sent Song there to clean the office room properly. After that, the police officer took Song with him. When they reached a quiet area of the prison, the officer said, "I've been watching you for several days. Whenever you get a chance, you go into the warden's office. But why do you do that? And what exactly do you do in there?" But Song didn't answer him. So the officer started searching him. During the search, he found a bundle of cash with Song. Seeing that, the officer assumed Song was going there to steal money. Then he said to Song, "You stole this money very carefully. If you want, I can help you with this stealing business. I'll personally give you access to the office room, but in return, you have to give me half of the stolen money." Song quietly walked away without saying anything. The next morning, Dr. Kim arrived at the prison. He had come to meet Echo. There, he was discussing a deal with Echo regarding drug. Meanwhile, Song was secretly listening to their entire conversation from a hidden place. But just then, Lee arrived there. He was the same person Echo had beaten because of Song. After arriving, Lee closed all the doors in the area. Then Chang arrived there with his entire gang. Chang intentionally knocked Lee unconscious so that no one would suspect that Lee was actually working with him. In other words, Lee was now working for Chang. Echo was completely alone at that moment. None of his men were with him, so Chang and his men had planned to kill Echo. Then they all went in front of Echo together. But even though Echo was alone, he wasn't afraid of any of them. Instead, he immediately grabbed one of Chang's men. In front of everyone, he brutally pulled out both of the man's eyes. After seeing that, none of Chang's men had the courage to attack Echo. Chang was also terrified. He immediately got down on his knees and started begging for forgiveness. Crying, he said that he came there without understanding the situation and begged Echo to let him go. So Echo didn't say anything more to him. He let Chang go and walked away. But while Echo was standing there with his back turned, Chang suddenly came from behind and stabbed him in the body with a knife. The moment Song saw this, he rushed in. Song started beating all of them without holding back. He was so furious that he kept attacking them until they were all knocked unconscious. Hearing the sound of the fight, the warden arrived there. The warden warned all of them that if they fought again, strict action would be taken against everyone. Because of that, the fight finally stopped. But as Song was returning to his cell, Chang suddenly hit him on the head from behind. As a result, Song collapsed and lost consciousness. After that, we see a flashback of Song. When Song was working in the police department, one day a dead body was brought to him. Seeing it, he couldn't hold himself back and broke down in tears because he loved his brother very much. But Song had been told that his brother died in an accident. However, later Song's colleague Jian told him, "I don't think your brother died in an accident. I think this was a murder." Hearing this, Song realized that the people his brother was investigating might have killed him. The same people whose illegal activities his brother had discovered and was preparing a report about. So Song carefully examined those reports and found out that some people inside the prison were involved in those crimes. They were the ones who had murdered his brother. Song then reported this matter to his senior officer. The senior officer then told him, "We can't take action against anyone without evidence, and we especially can't take action against those people because they are already inside the prison. So forget everything that happened. Your brother is already dead. No matter how hard you try, you can't bring him back." But Song was extremely angry after hearing that. Song then said, "Then send me to that prison. I want to go there and find out what is really happening. I want to see who is doing what inside that place, and I will find all the evidence myself." Then we return to the present time. Because Chang attacked Song again, Chang was being transferred to another prison. But suddenly, the prison chief dropped him off in the middle of the road and left. A little while later, a car arrived and hit Chang from behind. Then a man took Chang's dead body away from there. In reality, Echo's men had killed Chang because Echo had ordered them to do it. This was Chang's punishment for going against Echo. Meanwhile, we see Echo. He gathers all the members of his gang inside a room. Then he picks up a hammer in front of everyone. He says to them, One of you betrayed me, so whoever betrayed me, step forward on your own. But everyone was too afraid of Echo to even move. Then, as Echo started walking toward them, Lee immediately dropped to his knees. He begged Echo to spare his life. He admitted that he had made a huge mistake. Then Echo turned to Song and said, "I want you to punish Lee with your own hands." Because of Lee, Chang was able to create this plan. And because of him, you got hit on the head, so take your revenge. Song didn't want to do it, but at that moment he remembered that Echo and his men were the ones who killed his brother. And now he had the perfect opportunity to eliminate one of his brother's killers. So he also brutally killed Lee. Later, while Song was standing quietly by himself, Echo came to him. Echo said, "This is probably your first murder, right? Don't worry. At first, things like this will feel strange, but later you'll see that everything becomes normal. It will eventually become a habit, because if you think about it deeply, you'll realize that the outside world and this place aren't really that different. Just like the outside world, we also have to do small wrong things here to survive. Otherwise, it's impossible to last in this place. Just watch and learn from me. With the courage and strength you have, one day you can rule this place just like I do." The next morning, many inmates from the prison were taken to one place together, because their job that day was to clean and maintain the area. While working, Song spotted the police officer who had offered to help him steal money. Song took the officer aside. Then he handed him a bundle of cash and asked him to create an opportunity for him to go somewhere a little farther away from there. After bribing the officer, Song went to the man named Jian, who was his former colleague. Song handed Jian the recording. The recording contained the entire conversation between Dr. Kim and the warden. It also had evidence of all the illegal activities involving Echo and his group. Jian then said to him, "But I'm really worried about you. If you stay in that prison for too long, you'll be in even more danger. So I want you to get out of there." But Song replied, "I won't leave that place until my brother gets justice for his murder." Meanwhile, we see Echo. The warden has come to meet with him. The warden says to Echo, "Officer Bay knows everything about us, but he can't do anything because he doesn't have enough evidence. And the way he's been coming after me, I feel like it won't be long before he catches me. So I can't work with you anymore. I'm leaving your group. I've already arranged your bail. You will be released from prison. After you get out, you can do whatever you want." Hearing this makes Echo extremely angry. He says to the warden, "I was the one who made you the warden here. The position you have today, and all the money and power you have, everything came from me. And now, after everything I've done for you, you want to leave my group halfway through?" After that, he says, "If you ever try to get me out of this prison again, I will destroy your entire family." That night, Echo leaves the prison in a car with some of his gang members. They are going to attack Officer Bay. Echo takes Song with him as well, because Song has now become someone Echo trusts a lot. However, this was a huge opportunity for Song. This was his best chance to catch Echo red-handed. It could become the biggest piece of evidence against him. But Song had already told Jian to keep an eye on Dr. Kim. He told Jian that whenever he got a chance to catch them, he would call and inform him about everything. After they all reached their destination, Song noticed a phone booth in the distance. Taking advantage of the opportunity, he went there and made a call. While he was talking, Echo suddenly came up behind him. Echo took the phone away from him. But when Echo heard the voice from the other side of the phone, it was a woman's voice. Echo realized it was Song's mother, so he didn't say anything to her. Actually, Song had already called Jian and informed him about everything first. After that, he called his mother. Then they all headed toward an iron factory, which was their real destination. Meanwhile, Jian was heading there with the entire police force, because Song had given him the location. Jian arrived there with the police and started searching inside the factory. But there was no one there except the workers. They didn't even find any illegal item. The reason was that Echo had changed their location halfway through. Meanwhile, Song noticed that Echo had changed the location. So he asked Echo, "Why did we change the location?" Echo replied, "That's my business. You don't need to worry about it." Just then, some of Echo's men arrived there carrying Officer Bay. His hands and legs were tied. At that place, there was a machine used for crushing different types of waste. Echo immediately put Officer Bay into the machine and killed him there. After that, while Echo and his men were returning to the prison, he found out that the police had gone to search the iron factory where they were originally supposed to go. Then Echo takes Song to another place. He shows Song some pictures of Jian and asks, Do you know this person? He went to that iron factory with a police unit. I think someone from our own team is working against us. But what Jian did cannot go unpunished. After that, he makes a few phone calls and orders them to kill Jian. Song sits there and listens to the sound of Jian being killed. But this time, Song can't take it anymore. He gets extremely angry and says, Jian did nothing wrong. Why are you killing him? Do you enjoy hurting innocent people like this? Meanwhile, the prison warden also finds out that Echo killed Officer Bay. He becomes extremely furious at Echo. This time, he completely turns against him. He goes there himself to kill Echo. But when he reaches Echo and sees him, he becomes speechless. He is too afraid to say anything. Even so, he gathers his courage and points a gun at Echo. The prison chief is also there at the time, but Echo turns the situation around and shoots the warden himself, killing him. Then he tells the chief, from today, you are the new warden of this prison. Chief Tifu is too scared to say anything. Then Echo and his remaining men hang Song as punishment for opposing them. But Song struggles desperately to survive. However, one of Echo's men is actually a kind-hearted person. He feels sorry for Song, so to save him, he secretly turns off the electricity in the area. Taking advantage of the situation, Song somehow escapes from there. He immediately goes to his former colleague Gesik. He asks Gesik for help. Then the two of them make a plan. Using a gas cylinder, they start a fire inside the prison. Because of that, the news immediately reaches the police force. The entire police unit arrives there with the firefighter. Since the fire is spreading throughout the prison, everyone starts working together to put it out. Meanwhile, Song takes advantage of the chaos and comes out with a gun. He fires at Echo and challenges him to fight, because Song wants to kill Echo with his own hands. Echo was the one who killed his brother, so Song doesn't want Echo to receive an easy punishment. He wants to personally make him pay. Then Echo walks straight towards Song. A brutal fight begins between the two of them. But Echo was overpowering Song and was about to kill him. Just then, the commissioner arrives. They tell Echo to surrender himself, but Echo becomes extremely angry. Meanwhile, Song gets the opportunity to kill Echo. However, when the commissioner tells him to stop, Song backs off. He then remembers his brother and starts crying. But at that moment, Echo notices some broken pieces of glass nearby. He picks up a piece of glass and keeps attacking Song with it. Then, just as Echo is about to kill him, he realizes that all the police officers around him are aiming their weapons at him. Even then, Echo thinks that if he is going to die, he will take Song with him. So he tries to stab a metal rod into Song's body, but before he can do it, the police officers keep shooting at him. As a result, Echo dies immediately. After that, all of Echo's remaining men are sent directly to court. They are sent there so they can receive the punishment they deserve. Song finally feels relieved. The fire of revenge that he had been hiding for so long has finally gone out. But the next day, a police officer calls Song. The officer tells him that all the prisoners have testified against him. They claim that Song was Echo's favorite person, and that Song helped Echo with all of his illegal activities. Because of this, an arrest warrant has been issued against Song, so the police send Song back to that same prison. But even then, Song is happy, because in the end he was able to take revenge for his brother's murder. And for him, that was the greatest victory of all.